if every time you pay a bill, you have anxiety, you have worry, or you have those things that you're talking about, it just creates more of that, right? Now, naturally, when running a business, you're going to have a lot of money outflow. You're going to have a lot of money inflow. In life, really, that's how money works. Money's not stagnant; it's an energy, right? And so, one habit that I did, even when I was more in a position that we're talking about there, is I started to become so grateful every time I paid for a bill.
Welcome to the Painter Growth Podcast, where we help you scale your painting company in record time. Join us as we explore sales, marketing, hiring, finances, leadership, and more, everything that you need to know to scale and grow your painting business. I hope you enjoy and subscribe. What's up, everybody? Michael Hickman here, founder of paintergrowth.com, and I am joined with my partner in crime, Mr. Jesse Teron. What's up, man?
Hey, man, glad to be here. Stoked to be here again.
Jesse is, I would say, I'm going to go as far as to say, our top coach here at Painter Growth. And Jesse has sold and exited multiple seven-figure businesses. He has scaled a painting business and done millions of dollars of production and been completely off the tools, obviously off the tools, but not even just that, but completely out of the business, just doing an hour a week with your GM. Do you want to just tell me a little bit about that? Tell the listeners a little bit about where you got your business to.
Yeah, it was actually an hour a month, so it's even less. But when I restarted the company about 3.5 years ago, I was actually at a software company full time, but I was moving areas, and I really wanted to get back and get connected to the community. So yeah, I started as a little like side hustle, and it was maybe about 10, 15 hours a week. But quickly within 2 years of that, had someone running it full time, and it was basically just coaching them once a month, and they were running the whole operation. So I was able to do it really, really quickly and easily, and just by following a set system and finding the right people and empowering the right people to be there. And I really love all aspects of running business, specifically a painting business, but leadership is one of the things that I thrive on, and finding good people and then taking them and seeing them for much higher possibilities than they see themselves and giving them those opportunities. And I think that in all the different businesses that I've been a part of, that's probably been my greatest strength.
That's awesome. I love that skill. Every step change in my business and my businesses have come from finding a good person, making them great, but like empowering them and letting go of a certain amount of the business, even if it's scary, like letting go of responsibility, empowering people, telling them that I trust them, letting them make mistakes, and helping them, not to sound corny, but realize their true potentials.
Together.
Yeah, together.
Yeah. And that's it always brings up the question, which is, a lot of people get stuck on the how, for things. And if you just switch the question from not how, but who, it's crazy what opens up in your life. Because if you know the result that you want, and then you find a person, and you say, this is the result. And then, like you said, just let it go a little bit. It's amazing to see what happens in your business.
So we have a client right now who you're working with personally, actually. And he's been running his business. He actually started as a solopreneur, and now he's got, multiple crews, and he's built up his business. But he's kind of, until now, he was kind of like the phrase is like a genius with 1,000 helpers. So he didn't have 1,000. He had 5 to 7 employees, but basically he's the owner, and then everyone else is just doing the things that he says. And I think that's where a lot of people listening, if not everyone listening, is currently right now. If you have employees that just they do what you say. So you're a genius with 1 million helpers. And then he just recently made a hire actually for a door-to-door marketer, but the person that he hired is like an absolute A player. And he's building processes and creating schedules and in marketing initiatives and taking on all of this extra responsibility without being asked. And I'm like, he comes to me, he's like, Mike, is this too much? Is this guy right for me? Am I going to be able to handle him? He's asking for all this, and I don't have the money to pay him what I think he's worth. I'm like, dude, have you ever had a high performer working for you before? He's like, I don't think so. I'm like, this is what it feels like. It's like you feel intimidated. You feel like they might be better than you at a lot of things, but your ability to retain and lead these people is the only thing that's going to allow you to scale the business. You can't scale with C players. You need those A's and those A minuses to take on initiatives and create things separate from you within your own company to truly see that next level of success.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. I was coaching him on this yesterday, and he was getting so granular and saying like, okay, well, what exactly should he be doing, hour by hour? And the whole conversation for almost an hour was, what is the result that you want? Let's focus on the result that you want, and then go to him and say, this is what we need to do. What do you think? Right? And that's what high performers can do coming into the business. And if you hire somebody and it adds work onto your schedule, that's probably not the right person. Right? Like, they should be taken off. I've had some people where I hire them and I'm like, wait, who's working for who here? Right? And then when you hire somebody and all of a sudden, you give them a tiny bit, and they make a huge improvement, or they just take on more and more than you're even expecting, and things are just better, and you don't hear about problems. It's absolutely transformative when you find those people. And when you find those people, going back to leadership, we were talking about it, how do you foster that? How do you make sure that they're going to be fulfilled in the work that you're doing? You understand their needs, you can lead them in accordance to uh, what's important to them, right? But that is like the biggest game changer in the world. And if you haven't found those people in your business yet, like, keep recruiting, keep hiring. Like, don't just settle for who you have. At any given moment in time, we're always running ads for recruiters, for painters, subcontractors, marketers, right? No, the best way I like to explain this is, like, if you're running a painting company and your painter decides to move out to Vancouver, and I'm not running ads, and they look and get hired by one of our competitor companies just because I wasn't running an ad, how big of a missed opportunity is that for me? Because I wasn't open to that. So at any given moment, no matter what my team is, even if I think I'm full on capacity, I'm always running ads, always looking for people.
And it goes a little bit further than that too. It's about when you have that interview, you have a intro call, or you get a resume that comes across your desk, and you're like, wow, this guy seems pretty good. And then you have a call with them, you're like, damn, this guy is awesome. And then you go on an interview with them, and the first thing that comes through your head is, there's no way this guy wants to work for me. Right. And you set these barriers for yourself. And what I always try to remind myself of is the guy who created Uber, he's just skin and bones, just like me. The guy who created, Facebook, Mark, he's just skin and bones, just like me. And every single person has the opportunity to build something big, but it's like, where do you limit yourself? The definition of an organization, like, it's a group of people, right? And I've said this before, if your organization is you and one other person, and that one other person sucks, well, your organization 50% sucks. So
Yeah.
find people who are better than you at certain skills, and, like, don't be afraid of hiring them. If you feel like you're missing a skill and this person won't want to work with you, then what do you need to do to fill that skill so that you can recruit and retain and lead people like that?
Yeah, like, I I have an example. One of our clients, he came on and he was really struggling with production, and he runs a full sub model. And so I gave him a super simple template that we use, and I said, okay, we'll list out all your subcontractors, and I get them to rate them from A plus all the way to a C minus, right? And we looked at his crews, and his best crew was a B, and then he had a bunch of C minuses. And so we literally just set the intention. I said, within the next 4 to 6 weeks, how can we replace all these B and C crews to A crews? And he relentlessly focused on this one thing. And literally within 6 weeks, he had 4 A+ crews, and it completely changed his production and capacity for the entire year. And it was just from actually looking at it on a simple template. Oh, this is my problem, is that all these subcontractors are just not that great.
See, what's really interesting about that exercise is that the problems that are presenting themselves from this issue aren't, I have B crews and C crews, but they're, oh, I have a ton of touch ups. Oh, this customer wasn't super happy. Oh, we have another go back. Oh, this customer's withholding money. Oh, my crews are always late. Like, these are the issues that are presenting. Those are the symptoms, but the root problem isn't expectations. It's not compensation structure. It's not leadership gap that you have. It's just that you have the wrong seats on your bus. So looking at it from that like holistic, we always like to play chess with our business, looking at it from 40,000 feet up, looking at our production, looking at our customers, looking at our team, and looking at our finances, and being able to make those chess moves. But unless you're looking at it typically with a third party, you're going to be blind to what might be so obvious to someone else.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. Just get the right. If you get the right, you start to know what the right seats are in the business, whether it's subcontractor, painters, marketers, salespeople, and then just you as the owner get the right people in the right seats,
Hmm.
right? And don't settle until you have those right people, and then and then keep recruiting.
Yeah. I would also say don't get so caught up on how someone gets done. Just really focus on what is the end result that you're trying to push for. Is it finishing this production? Is it estimates? Like, for this one client we're talking about, he was like, all I need right now is 6 estimates a week. Like if this guy can get me 6 estimates per week, like I'm gonna be able to pay him, and the business is gonna be able to move forward. I'm like, what if he got you 15 estimates a week? Like, what would that do for your business? And then we started running the numbers. He's like, man, I'd be booking like 35K a week. And I'm like, so then what would you do? He's like, well, then I'd have to hire another painter. I'm like, okay, then what would you have to do? It's like, well, and then we just like kept going on. He's like, all right, well, I'm setting the bar too low for myself. I have an A player. I've been setting my goals as if I'm full of C players, but now I have an A player who's going to completely change the game for me.
Yeah, and I think where that came from for that individual is he's been through so many struggles. It's like every day this year, it's pretty much he gets up and gets punched in the teeth. And so when you just when you're in that zone, and I've been in that place, you've been in that place before too, and you just get beat up all the time, that you start to almost drop, those goals, those ambitions, because you've just been beat up. That when you have that A player that comes in, you're almost caught off guard that they can do more than the bare minimum. And so you have to actually get your mindset back into your vision. What are you up to? Not, hey, how do I pay my bills for this month? Right.
Yeah. And that financial security is directly correlated with the time horizon that you're able to look out. So if you've been struggling for 10 years, just thinking month to month, well, it's really hard to create a 3-year vision for your company that has growth involved if you've been at the status quo struggling month over month for the last 10 years. And we've had people like that who just, they sell their 401ks and they're like, all right, I need some help. So they join. And for the first time in like over a decade, they have hope in their life. And it's a really
Yeah.
cool transformation to see how quickly it can happen.
Yeah, and for those people that if you're in that position where you are really financially stressed, right? It doesn't have to it doesn't actually have to take that long to get yourself into that place where you feel like your head is above water. But the first step is knowing, what do I need to do? What is that number? And usually that number is not as big as you think. And narrow that time horizon down, okay, into, can I get that number up in the next 4 weeks? Okay, can't do that. Can I do it in 8 weeks? Okay, great. I can do it in 8 weeks, and start problem solving that. Don't think about anything beyond those 8 weeks. Get yourself into that place where you're not um, uh, waking up at night because you're stressed about finances. You're sweating. You can't even think about anything because you have bills and things that are coming. And again, like I said, I've been in this place before too, and it's horrible. You can't think about anything. You're not present with your family. You're sleeping like you're terrible, and you keep like compounding in the wrong way. But if you're in that position today, it's like, know what you need to do to get to that level, then think about what you want to build as a business, and you can think about those bigger things.
One thing that like for the guys who just aren't ready or who aren't, just not interested in that, if you're having that anxiety around your bills, I guess in particular your bills or your work or your production or your bookings or whatever, if you have anxiety around it, the best way to combat that anxiety that I found is with data. Is like improve your understanding that you have of your current situation, and that will, even if it's scary, like I've had seasons of my life where I didn't want to log into my online banking because I didn't like what I saw. So I just avoided it. Right. And I think we've all been there, but avoiding it isn't going to make the problem going away. logging in every single day is what's going to make the problem go away. Like I think Hormozy, it was Hormozy that said this one time when he was going through a tough chapter in his life, is that he set up automated text messages every single morning just with his bank balance. And that was what he looked at every single day. He just got a text message at 6 a.m. with his bank balance. And we're like, is it better or worse than yesterday? You know, you can only improve what you track, and you can only really track what you pay attention to. So like what's important to you, what's causing you anxiety, and what are the steps that you need to make to have a better understanding of that information, of that data.
That's so good. I didn't know you did that. That's amazing. And I think you're spot on. And if you're in that situation today, like literally right now, open up your bank account and just stare at it, and just stare at it, because naturally, uh, you're going to start to come up with ways and how to actually solve it because you're just looking at it. And if you're not, happy or satisfied with where it is, just stare at it and see what comes up, because it's guaranteed they'll get into action probably faster than anything else.
Yeah. Another way is like, okay, so a lot of guys listening, if you don't know how to run a spreadsheet, like you should probably watch some YouTube videos on how to use it, like a Google Doc spreadsheet, a Google Sheet. Because if you ever have any sort of desire to run a 6 or 7 figure business, you need to know how to use a spreadsheet. Sorry, there's no way around it. You have to do it. You can't delegate that. So watch some YouTube videos, learn how to do a spreadsheet, and then an activity that you can do, and I know Jess is a big proponent of this, is using your balance sheet. But we're not going to talk about balance sheet because that's a little bit more than what you need to do. But just write a list of everything that you have, everything that you owe. So all the money and the outstanding debts that you have, your bills, your paint store, your credit cards, whatever, and then all the money that people owe you. So how much you have, how much you owe, and how much people owe you. And you add all those together. So you take what you have minus what you owe plus what people owe you, and that's going to give you your actual current net worth, basically. If you have a good holistic understanding of that, it's become making paying bills less scary. So one thing for a little while in my life, whenever a bill came in, I would avoid it, and I would I would wait until the absolute last day, and then I would pay it maybe, but I'd probably be late and I'd pay interest or fees on it just because I hated paying bills. But as soon as I became aware of my financial situation, I knew what bills were coming in, and I knew what my total amount in my bank account was going to be after I paid all of my bills and started optimizing for that. It became a lot easier to pay bills and not so devastating when I had like a big bill come in because I was expecting it. I knew it was coming in. I accounted for it, and I knew I was going to have left over. So I just paid it because it was already part of the plan. And when you make that shift, it makes financial management so much less stressful.
Yeah, if you switch with the thing about money, we're going to go even more deep on the money topic here, because I think it's probably interesting for people that if every time you pay a bill you have anxiety, you have worry, or you have those things that you're talking about, it just creates more of that, right? Now, naturally, when running a business, you're going to have a lot of money outflow. You're going to have a lot of money inflow. In life, really, that's how money works. Money's not stagnant; it's an energy, right? And so, one habit that I did, even when I was more in a position that we're talking about there, is I started to become so grateful every time I paid for a bill, right? I'd say thank you for that service that I'm paying for, or thank you for that product that I'm paying for. I would actually thank it as that money was going out. And naturally, over time, instead of feeling anxious or worried when that money was going out, I felt grateful because I could feel and understand the flow of energy. And it's crazy how much more starts to come back to you, but actually feeling grateful for it rather than feeling anxious or worried. So one thing all the listeners can try today is, when you go, if you go buy a coffee, or you go buy, you got to pay off your paint store, or any other bill that you have today, try to feel gratitude and and send out thanks for what you're paying for, and see how that starts to shift how you feel about money.
Mm-hmm. I've never even thought of that before. I mean, I use gratitude, not as much as I should, but just yesterday, I was running on the treadmill, and my headphones weren't working. I got 2 phone calls while I was running, and then like someone came in and like interrupted me, and then I dropped my phone, and I was just getting so frustrated. I'm like, I have 45 minutes. I just wanted to have a good workout, and I'm like 10 minutes left by this point, and I was just frustrated. And I did it on my phone. My headphones weren't working. I'm just like, okay. And then I just had a moment. I'm like, what am I upset about? This is not a big deal. Let's try gratitude for a minute. And so I just like zoned in and I started listing off all the things I was thankful for. Thankful for my kids, my wife, my house, my business, my team. And I started, going through a whole bunch of things that I was grateful for. And by the time, like 10 minutes later, by the time I got off that treadmill, I was just beaming. I was just floating. I was like, this is an awesome day. But if I just let that like energy that I was dwelling in and this like current frustration just like continue and not take that moment to reflect on gratitude, that would have like I would have got my kids, I would have been like short with them, wouldn't like my wife would have came and wouldn't been like happy. And but it's really, really dramatic change, just like 5 minutes, 10 minutes of flipping the switch internally, and it turned out to be a great day.
So good. And I love that so much, because the hard part is when you're not, like, when you feel like you're not in a good position, like whether it's financially or in your life or your business, for people listening, oh yeah, it's easy for you guys to be grateful because, situations you guys are in. The hardest part, and I went, and again, I like to talk about this because I've been through a lot of this, is things didn't start to shift and switch in my life until I could feel that gratitude when things weren't ideal or they weren't perfect and whatnot. And it was actually practicing gratitude right now, no matter what was going on, right? And being thankful for every moment. And I think Tony Robbins has a great quote. He says, "You'll never feel true fulfillment until you can appreciate what you have right now, right?" And so even if the sky is falling in your business and whatnot, you just take a moment and think about, like Mike just did there, think about 10 things that you're grateful for in your business right now. Maybe you
It
have
sounds goofy,
one
but
great
do it.
painter.
It sounds goofy, but just like pause it and just do it.
Yeah. Maybe you have a great painter right now, right? Maybe you just signed a contract. Maybe you woke up this morning and you feel like you woke up on the right side today. But they can be simple things. Be grateful for the sun. If you can't be grateful for anything in your business, just look around you and be grateful for anything and list off 10 things, and you'll immediately start to shift inside. And that is what will get reflected into your business. And you'll show up to that next estimate in a much different mood. You'll show up to that job site in a much different mood, right? Have you ever shown up to a job site and you're not in a good space, and you just gone in and critiqued everything and left your crew in disarray? Again, I've done that before too. And it's like, if you show up to that job site and instead you practice gratitude beforehand, you go there and you leave your crew feeling significantly better. And then again, that goes into the leadership topic. But so much of everything that's going on to your business is just a pure reflection of you.
Yeah. If you've ever tried to go to that estimate grumpy after, getting off the phone with the painter telling you about a problem, 0% chance you close that job.
Yeah, zero.
Yeah, I think what this leads into, so we got into gratitude, but I just want to go back a little bit into like some myths and some beliefs about money, because a lot of the time, a lot of us have been conditioned from an early age to have a weird relationship with money. Money is something to be, you know, uh, earned and squirreled away and saved, and you got to save until retirement and all of this stuff, or else, all these like scarcity principles. There's so much money in the world right now. It is bonkers. Like you can see the number, right? Whatever, the global economy is like 20 trillion or whatever, but like you don't understand what that is. I don't understand what that is. There's so much
Yeah,
money out there waiting to be
I mean,
got.
who here has a belief right now that you have to work hard to make money? That's actually just not true. It's not true at all.
Yeah.
And I think that belief is, a lot of these beliefs are passed down from generations and, parents. And I think probably a lot of people listening to this, like in your households, like even though there might have been more than enough money, you're always made to feel like there was never enough, right? And that's just like all too common. And then you come in, it's like you just never feel like there's enough money no matter what, right? You could be running a $500,000 business today and you could feel like there's never enough money. And you could get to $1 million and you still have the same story that there's never enough, right? So again, it's just a reflection of what's living inside of you. And you start saying today, I have enough today, right? I deserve to be prosperous and wealthy today. And you start to believe those things today, that's what you start to see. And then that's what starts to happen in your business. There's a great book that completely shifted my perception on money. It's called Money is My Friend by Phil Lau. It's like a $10 book on Amazon, and it starts off very meta, like very in the field in the beginning about affirmations, and talks about things that are passed down from your parents. And then the second half is like insanely practical. And it's very it's a bit dated now. It was written in 1979, but you can apply the principles to today. In that book, I read that last December, so pretty recently still, and it completely shifted my perceptions on money. And I didn't realize how many poor stories that I had on the go. And there's a stat out there. Have you seen that? That's every day the average person has between 40,000 and 60,000 thoughts, right? And so when people say, "Well, I don't believe in affirmations," guess what? You're doing affirmations all day, every single day, with 40 to 60,000 thoughts. You're already doing it. So when we talk about affirmations on the show and how important it is, because you're already doing it, and actually 95% of those thoughts, of those 40 to 60,000, are negative. So the average in the humans, right? So imagine all day, every day, you're just telling yourself all these things that actually aren't even true, but then that becomes your reality. So when people say, "Oh, I don't believe in affirmations," like that doesn't make sense because you do it all day, every day. So if everything is just made up and you made that up anyways, you might as well make up something good because then you can actually live into that, right?
I think that one thing that made it real for me, because I was always super skeptical on affirmations. I'm like, if I write a notebook or tell myself in the morning 5 reasons why I'm great, like that's not going to translate into real world changes. Like that's what I believed. And I think that's what a lot of people kind of think when it comes to affirmations. But what, like the way that I kind of internalized it, or how I used it, was not necessarily thinking that there's a direct correlation between saying affirmations and financial success, because that, I don't think that that's how it works. But the correlation is, if you do affirmations and you give yourself these fulfilling prophecies that tell you you're a great business owner, and you will be wealthy, and you are a great father, and you're attentive, and you're a great leader, and you're a great, business owner, all these things. What that does is, number one, it changes your gut and how you feel about yourself. Even if you're just saying it, even if you don't believe it, but you're just saying it, it's going to change your gut. And what is going to happen from there is it's going to change the way that you interact with your team, with your customers, and with your family. And if you're interacting with your team and your customers and your family with that even slight mindset that I'm a good business owner, I'm a good father, I'm a good leader, um, I'm going to be wealthy, those are the things that end up having that trickle down effect and start improving your life. That's the way that I felt it, and I started doing them, and then the pain, the nauseousness in my gut about not believing those things is kind of like starting to go away, and I'm starting to present in a more positive way with my team, with my family, with my clients.
Yeah, and what you're talking about there is this. It's actually quite a simple formula. So it's beliefs lead to actions, and then actions lead to results, and those results confirm the beliefs, right? And so whatever you believe, then you act on, then that creates whatever result. And then again, it's just that it's the confirmation bias, right?
Yeah.
And so if you can get yourself into believing it first, then your actions do start to change, and then you start to see those different results that actually make that true. Right?
And it's like what you let yourself get frustrated with. So my mom, who will certainly never listen to this, she always says, "Oh, I'm so bad at computers." And I'm like, "Oh, it just kills me when she says that." Right? And I'm like, "Mom, if you stop saying that and instead replace that with, I'm great at computers, like a few things are going to happen. Like you're going to get less frustrated. You're going to figure things out. You're going to give yourself room to figure things out." And so I did get, every time she said that, because I was living with her while we were looking for a house. Every time she said it, I was like, "Mom, no." Hit her on the head with a newspaper. No. And guess what? She started figuring things out. And like, instead of, when she was like, "Hey, I need you to do this for me in the computer," I'm like, "No, you can do it. You're good at
Yeah.
computers." And she'd go and she'd sit down and she would like, we start to get frustrated. I'm like, "Mom, you're good at computers." And she's like, "Okay." And she figured it out. And she was like gaining this confidence. And it was just like, it was such a, it was like a, some of these things that we talk about, like with affirmations, like are long cycles. like I'm a great business owner, I'm an attentive father, I'm like all these things. Those are long cycles that take a long time to like show it, like bear fruit. But like this was a cool like microcosm of this impact, right? It's just like, okay, it's like
Yeah.
you are good at computers, you're gonna figure this out. And it was just like a fast cycle, and I just saw the improvement happening over the course of weeks.
That reminds me of there was this study out there that they took kids, right, and they had the control group where the parents told the kids that um, they were really good at math, and then the other group was the parents told them that they were really bad at math, and they followed this for about a year, and they did this study, and what inevitably happened is the group that their parents said they were great at math actually became really great at math, and the kids that they were told they were bad at math were really bad at math. But do you know what the only difference like was? Is
Confirmations.
the kids that were told they were great at math studied, and the kids that were told they were bad at math didn't want to study. They weren't motivated to study because they felt like they were bad. Nobody wants to work on things that they feel like they're bad at,
Yeah.
right? And this is young kids, right? So if you have kids today, uh, one thing right away is just start telling them they are great at whatever the activity is because they're going to be more motivated to practice it, and they're going to be okay with the failures that come along with it, right? And the same thing, if you tell yourself you're not good at sales today, switch that right now. Say I'm great at sales, and you'll actually be more motivated and interested to learn how to be really great at sales, or really great at marketing, or really great at Google Sheets. And by God, if everybody here could just be great at Google Sheets, life would be so much easier
Oh,
for everyone.
so much better.
um,
Yeah.
but I found that study really, really interesting. How the actions were uh, the biggest difference there.
I do a lot of that with my 5-year-old, and I catch myself
Mhm.
sometimes. What a lot of parents will do is like, oh, she doesn't want to say anything. She's shy. Or he's shy. He won't talk. It's like, okay, well, you're saying that in front of him, and that's going to reinforce your child's belief that they are that trait, that they are shy. So instead of saying, oh, she's shy, it's like, yeah, she just takes a minute to warm up. Like, that's way better. It's like, yeah, I just take a minute to warm up,
That's
mom.
that's so much better. I love that.
Yeah. Or with this morning, every morning I try to do a little bit of reading and writing with my 5-year-old, and she was like struggling with this, and I'm like, I've been doing it for like a few months. These like affirmations with her, and so I feel like I'm getting pretty good. I've been pretty consistent with it. And I said, Addie, you're really good at writing, and you're just having a hard time focusing right now. So let's try to focus and show me how good you are at this.
Mhm.
And she continued to not be great at it, but anyway, she's working on it. She's
Over
5 years
time,
old.
though, over time,
Yeah,
over
we're gonna
time.
work on it. But that's like I'm really like conscious of that. I'm like, I don't want to say, hey, you're and it's like that also goes in hand with like when you're criticizing a painter or an employee or
Hmm.
one of your kids or your spouse, you never criticize them as a person. You always criticize the action. It's like, hey, I know you're a really, really good reader, but a really good writer, but like you just wrote a pretty messy letter here, and I need you on site at 8 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah, on the leadership side of it, when you are giving that criticism feedback, you never make a blanket statement, never make it general. You want to make it very specific
Yeah.
so that they don't feel like they're a character, right? So if they made a mistake, they were messy on the site, you never say you're really messy, right? You say, hey, on the specific job, here's exactly what happened, and here's how we need to be better. And you make it that specific instance versus it making it about their identity and their character, then
Yeah.
that goes so far from a leadership perspective and how your people will listen to you and respect you.
Yeah. 100%. And that can be used in so many different places in your life and your family and your work is just like really be attention. Like the words that you have a huge impact. Like you as a human, you are made up of two things, right? Your words and your actions. That is
Mhm.
literally everything that you are. Your thoughts do not make you up. Like I don't care how great you think. Like there's this one Louis C.K. bit I thought was so funny. The comedian, right? He's like, I was sitting down in like on my airplane. I was sitting in business, and this soldier like came. He's like an army man. He's like came on my flight. He's all dressed up in his army. Um, I'm terrible at what do you call it? Army uniform. Uniform. There we go. Uniform.
Uniform.
All right. So he's in his uniform, and Louis C.K. is like, I had this thought. I'm like, I should get out of my seat and thank him and give him my seat in business class. And he's like, I was so proud of myself for having that thought. He's like, of course I didn't do it, but I thought it and I felt great for the rest of the day because I had that thought. I'm
That's so
like,
funny.
it's so funny, but it's like a perfect example of like, you are not your thoughts. I don't care. Like
Yeah,
in this, goes back to, I guess it's kind of related to affirmations, but like affirmations have to eventually impact your actions. But it's
yeah,
like, you can think you're great, you can think you're so gracious and humble and all those things, but if you don't act like it and talk as, as if you are that person, you will never be that person.
yeah. And that's where we go back to the formula. It's like first start with that thought and that belief. So if he had that thought, that's great. But then the next step is take the action, give up your seat in business class, and you get the result of being proud for doing that, right? Um, so that I mean he's one third of the way there.
Yeah. But
Man,
close
this
only counts
conversation
in.
really took a different turn than planned. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, right? Not in affirmations and actions.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a brush busters episode, but I think this took a much more virtuous turn.
I think we just busted a bunch of self limiting beliefs and myths that aren't true. So hopefully that's helpful for everyone.
Yeah. So if anyone is like struggling with, mindset or feeling like they're a failure, feeling like they're never able to grow a business, just keep in mind that like every single person who's ever grown a successful business, from like Rockefeller to Elon Musk, they're just skin and bones, one person, same consciousness that you have. And they just utilize their time, their 24 hours every day, a little bit different than you. So, what are the things that you can start doing today to start acting like a bigger business owner? Start acting like a seven-figure business owner. And maybe it starts with waking up, at 6 a.m. and getting a workout in. Maybe it starts with writing down affirmations. Maybe it starts with figuring out how to get off the tools so you can do more estimates in the day. But like, I would just encourage you to think about what are the things that you can do to get out of your own way so that you can start improving the quality of your life.
Yeah, and no matter where you are today, just feel grateful for where you are exactly today. Start with that. Feel grateful right now for everything that's going on.
Feel first.
Right?
You
It's
have a
beautiful.
house, you have food, you have kids, potentially significant other,
Yeah.
friends, workers, clients, sunshine, green grass, so many things to be grateful for.
Trees. Yeah.
You got it. Cool. Well, thanks for tuning in, team. Hope that was as good for you as it was for me.
It's so fun. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me again.
Thanks for listening to the Painter Growth Podcast. If you want to grow your painting business, go to www.paintergrowth.com or click on the top link in the description. Talk soon.